Hey everyone, and welcome back. This is our first consignment update video for our September auction, taking place from the 3rd to the 6th. So it's our next big auction. Consignment deadline for this auction is the 31st of July. Now, before I continue, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of those who were involved in the last auction in June, approximately 2 weeks ago now. Really appreciate your bids. For those of you who won, and of course underbidders as well, it was great to see so many of you at the sale. We had some fantastic results. Guitars selling that were previously owned by Gary Moore, Eric Clapton, Peter Green, some great Golden Era Gibson and Fender guitars, and all related items as well. And of course we sell amps, pedals, spares, audio equipment and other memorabilia. So huge thank you for that. It was a great success and I hope you really enjoyed the sale. But of course that one is now put to one side and we go on to the next sale. Like I said, 3rd to 6th of September, taking consignments now, and we've already got a huge amount of consignments that have come in. We've probably got over 300 lots already in the building that we're busy processing, and we're looking forward to showing you in this next series of consignment updates. Now, it will all look a bit different today, so I do apologise for that if you are used to our usual format. We are down a member of staff, unfortunately, so we are going to be a bit more static today. I am more so opening cases and looking straight at a camera, but we will get on the best we can. So hopefully it won't stay like this for too long, but the next couple of videos may end up looking like this. So we're going to have a look at what we've got. Slightly shorter video than usual today, but we will have a look at some really good guitars. A lot of it at this stage can be a bit biased because I tend to pick things that jump out at me, but I do try and give a good broad section, and I usually try and show things in I guess within collections. So we get a lot of people that do consign parts of their collection, and I try and keep them together and focus on certain things within videos. So enough of me waffling on. Like I said, this auction is taking place on the 3rd to the 6th of September, 4-day auction 2024. For those of you who are viewing this after the event, you have missed the auction, but the 3rd, 6th of September, and let's have a look at what we've got. So we're starting with a couple of things that I really like. A lot of our regular viewers will know how much I like futuristic guitars. Of course, we had quite a few in the last sale, especially in the Bernie Marsden collection. He was another big fan of this type of guitar. We had a few in his collection. The collection did fantastically well. Thanks for all of the views on that. But as you will see, we have a Gibson Explorer, and this one's from 1990, tobacco sunburst finish, and amazingly 34 years old now, this guitar, and it doesn't look bad for it. So it's got its original case, if you see me opening behind. Condition wise, bit of buckle wear on the back there that you should be able to see, but otherwise it's not too bad. Frets are in good condition, rosewood board neck, but just classic Explorer from the 90s, and yeah, good condition for the age. Not a bad way to start. And next up we have a 1979 Gibson Flying V, also one of my favourite models. I do have a Flying V. I don't have an Explorer yet. One of those models I've just never got round to acquiring, but I will one day, I'm sure. But this is a 1979 Gibson Flying V in the white finish there. And as you can see, we have some autographs there. So this has been signed by 3 of the members from Judas Priest. So the most significant, I guess, the one that most people go for is the KK Downing, but we also have Glenn Tipton, which has faded a little bit, and Ian Hill as well, the bass player. Now, where did this guitar come from? So it's consigned by the same person as the Explorer, so again another fan of futuristic guitars. Now it's so say that this guitar was at one point hung up in the Hard Rock Cafe, and as you can imagine it would be something that they would be interested in with the signatures. Now interestingly, if you look at the back, there's some holes on the back of the head, and then also on the end of the point. So I'm assuming that is how it hung in the Hard Rock Cafe in question. Still need to do a bit more, get a bit more information on that, but we do have a 1979 Gibson Flying V. Yeah, there's a few minor things. Replacement control knobs for one, sort of they're the Fender style ones obviously, but we've got the original tuners, other original hardware there. It's a great guitar. Love Flying Vs. 70s Flying Vs have become quite collectible now, so yeah, another good futuristic guitar in the cell. 1979 Gibson Flying V. So I am sticking with a Gibson theme, and I'm just gonna make a bit of a caveat with a couple of the guitars I'm about to show you. I haven't actually had these apart yet, so you have to bear with me a little bit, because I'm going to make some comments on what we can see externally, but I haven't been inside them to really give you all the facts. But at least we can see what we're going with. So as you can see in the case there, just taking it out, we have a 73-74. I need to refine the date by having a dig around, but Gibson ES-355. Of course, the 355, fairly similar to the 345. Of course, we have some differences. The main thing being the ebony board and the block inlays rather than the split trapeze. But we've got the waffle back tuners on the back there, the gold-plated waffle back tuners. Now, that was a feature that was sort of 73-74, so it's probably not going to be any later than 74. We can say that. We've got the rotary switch. Haven't looked inside yet to see whether we've still got the choke and all the varitones still wired in, and also I think we can clearly see that the pickup surrounds have been changed, and the covers are looking very fresh. So I'm going to say that there's a possibility that the pickups on this might have been changed, but you can have a look at the catalogue and then all the information will be correct in there. But anyway, it's still a really cool guitar. I mean, look at the maple on that. Really strong flamed maple, really nicely flamed there. This guitar has been refinished. You can see it's been converted to a stop bar as well. So we've got the old trapeze holes there, and you can see where there's been some holes in the top as well, where it's been I guess it's been Bigsby'd at some point as well. But we've now got the stop bar conversion. The guard there, the guard certainly looks original. I need to look at that in a bit closer. We've got the ebony board, and it has also had a neck repair. You probably won't be able to see that quite there on the camera, but it has had a neck repair, unfortunately. So yeah, we're looking at a player's grade condition guitar really, but these guitars, I mean, you're looking for an original 70s, early to mid 70s 355 these days. You're certainly looking at hammer price, certainly over 3,500. So this will be, yeah, a lot more conservative than that, based on the fact that it's a player's grade example, but a great example. And I think the maple is really striking. So we got another guitar here that does have some fairly unusual features, and again there is that caveat that I haven't been inside to look at everything. So in terms of dating, I'm going to say we're looking at early 70s, probably around 1970 to be honest. Now there's a few things with this guitar that I can comment on with that date. So we've got a serial number that really falls. It's one of those serial numbers that can span quite a few of the early years in 1970. Now, two things that I can say is there's a Made in USA stamp on the back of the head, but we're lacking a volute. Now, the Made in USA stamp came in 1970, and the volute also did, so we're missing a volute. Now there is a chance that could have been shaved down. Some people didn't like the volute, and that is possible. The neck has been refinished, maybe that's the reason why the neck's been refinished. There's no visible breaks that I can see. Obviously I'll take a closer look at that before we get the catalogue up online. But yeah, there is refinishing, so neck's certainly refinished. The body looks like it's got some infill in places, doesn't look like it's been completely refinished, but again we'll take a closer look at that in some better light and get my eyepiece on, because I don't have the best eyes without wearing my glasses, to be honest with you. And this guitar has just come in. So again, can't really comment on the electrics. The potentiometer codes, they will tell us more, of course, assuming they are original. They do look original from the outside, just looking in. They've got the big cans. We should be able to make something out, but certainly all the hardware appears to be okay. So the other thing is we've got an orange label. Now you might be able to just see that in there. Now these orange labels, they transitioned out in 1969. So all I'm going to say is, with the lack of the volute, assuming the volute was never there in the first place, this could be a transitional one between 69 and 70. Of course, the other thing with the label is, I guess there is the slight possibility that this is a slightly later guitar from the post 1970 that's had its volute taken away, and someone has put an orange label in. Whether that's to deceive or not, I don't know, but I should probably mention, I don't think I've even said, it's a Gibson ES-345, so in comparison to the 355, you can see this one has the rosewood board. It has the split parallelogram inlays there, and it comes with a nice case. Actually, it comes with a yellow lined Victoria luggage case, which were known cases, Victoria luggage supply cases for both Gibson and Fender. So yeah, interesting guitar again. Hoping the pickup's original. We will find out soon, but again, I guess you could put it in the player's grade category. It's got some issues with it. It's not the finest museum grade examples, but one for a player, and still a nice guitar from, I mean, some people don't like the 70s period, but if a nice guitar is a nice guitar. So there we go, Gibson ES-345. Now here we have a rather special guitar, and special is in the name. So for those of you who follow us on Instagram, if you don't and you are on Instagram, head over to Instagram, and we are quite simply at Guitar Auctions. No hyphens, no spaces. Just look up at Guitar Auctions and you will find us. So, said specials in the name. This is a 1927 Gibson Nick Lucas Special. Now it has had some restoration. It was in quite a state when the vendor bought it, and he had it restored, and it did actually get a valuation put on it, which we have the report for by Gruen Guitars, of $10,000. So these are valuable things. They're collectible things, and yeah, it is a cool acoustic guitar. Needs some blues finger picking, I think. That's what it's made for. That's the type of music that would have been played on it. But yeah, you don't see many of them round. I think it's a really cool small body guitar. Good blues guitar. Good armchair guitar almost. Maybe an expensive armchair guitar, but there we go. One to indulge yourself with. But yes, 1927 Gibson Nick Lucas Special. I'd love to give more information about this guitar, but again, it's something that's only really just come in. I've got all sorts of history to go through on it, including the work that was done to restore it. But keep an eye on the catalogue for that one, and you will get the full lowdown. And another Gibson for you. I really do not try and overload you with too many Gibsons, but it's just things that we've had in recently. This guitar has a really, really interesting history. Now, it is said that this guitar, based on the provenance, it actually came from another auction sort of a few years ago. But this guitar was allegedly formerly owned by Mr. Blue Suede Shoes himself, Carl Perkins, one of the great pioneers of rock and roll, obviously a rockabilly great. So yeah, pretty special guitar. It's a special guitar in its own right. You don't see a huge amount of these come up, certainly in our sales. I can only probably count 3 or 4 Super 400s I've sold, but this one dates from 1977. We've got the serial number on the back there. You can see it's just a good example there actually of how these guitars serial numbers were looked in 75 to 77. So you've got the 06 prefix, which dates this only to 1977, so we can be very clear on the date of this one. And isn't it just in superb condition? So really good example of a 1977 Gibson Super 400. There's provenance with this one, which we've got to collate and put in the catalogue, so you can all read the story of how this guitar ended up going from Carl Perkins' hands in the States over to the UK and sold in an auction in the UK, and then ending up here at Gardiner Houlgate auction rooms. But a cool guitar to go in the artist associated section. That is a 1977 Gibson Super 400, previously owned by Mr. Carl Perkins. Something a bit different just to break the video up, and in a slightly oversized case, not really right for this guitar. I tend to see more ebonized wooden cases. This is a sweet little thing by a maker called Boulanger. Known for violin making and guitar making. So this is a 19th century guitar. Look at the stunning use of wood there, the bird's eye maple back and sides. This guitar has had restoration, very good restoration indeed. You've got this fine-grained spruce top, got some bridge restorations there, but it's a playing guitar. And like I said, 19th century, so well over 100 years old, from the 1800s. And yeah, it is a good. We do sell quite a few of these guitars. On the last day of the auction, we have our antique and classical guitar sales. The last one did very well indeed. We had that Juan Paguez guitar, of course, that sold for 9,200 hammer. This one will be in the more affordable category. You can pick up small body guitars like this for sometimes under £1,000, which doesn't seem bad for something that is kind of an antique and historic. So there you go, a Boulanger guitar up together and playing, has had restoration, but we will have a good selection of this type of guitar in the auction. From the 1980s, so still of some age, well, quite a bit of age now really, over 40 years old, this guitar. And we have a 1981 Circa. It probably is 1981 to be honest, these are only made for a few years. This is a gold on gold Strat. Now, the reason they were called the gold on gold Strat is because you had this gold finish, and then you had the, I'm pretty sure it's 22 carat plated hardware. So it was one of those things that came about very much in the Dan Smith era, when they were thinking of ideas to really resurrect Fender with things going downhill with quality and all sorts of things like that. But this guitar didn't last too long because it is quite expensive to make, as you can imagine, with the gold plating and all those kind of things. So it didn't last for long at all, only a couple of years. I believe it was 81 to 83 off the top of my head. But it's an okay example. We do have some dings and marks, and there's a bigger blemish there, from probably more so from case rubbing, to be honest with you. Just sometimes be careful of that when storing your guitars in cases, when they have a snug fit. But yeah, I mean, I would probably say I've had better examples, and certainly the ones I've had in the past have almost been in mint condition, but this one is not far off. So there it is with its case, and yeah, 1981-ish. Fender Stratocaster gold on gold. Some things at a more realistic level, I try and feature some slightly less expensive guitars. So whereas the last gold Strat I was showing, you know, you're looking in excess of £1,000, and I appreciate that not everyone's budgets can stretch to that. Mine can't really stretch to that, to be honest with you. So here we have a 50th anniversary made in Mexico Stratocaster, and this is in the Aztec gold finish. So a limited run to celebrate the 50th anniversary. Like I said, Mexican made, 2004, and you can see this one don't think this one's even been played. It's still got a sticker over the trem hole there. But yeah, Aztec gold, so it's got all the gold fittings in the original gig bag and in fine condition that it is. Now, this guitar has been staring at me just off view of the camera on the side. Just been itching to show you this one because this is one of my favourite entries so far. I'm not a big acoustic player, to be honest with you, but there's just something about this instrument. So we have a mid-50s, I'm pretty sure it's 55. It's on my paperwork, but anyway, mid-50s, let's say 55. It's a Gibson Southern Jumbo, and it's a really nice guitar. So excuse the playing there, but it's just really tempting. So yeah, mid-50s Gibson Southern Jumbo. You can see it's had a life. There's a lot of wear there, obviously a lot of finger picking. It's not massively structural. In fact, it's not structural. Now, this guitar has been consigned by a long-time customer of mine. Now, I've been here now at Gardiner Houlgate, believe it or not, for 17 years. And this chap's probably been coming to me for around 15. He's had some really nice, exceptional guitars in the past, usually vintage Gibsons and Martins, and he's bought some exceptional vintage Gibsons and Martins from us. But this one, something that's been in his collection a very, very long time, and I don't know what it is, and I say this to him every time, but there's something he does. So he sets his own guitars up. He actually used to be involved in, he used to have a music shop himself, and he used to, you know, fettle and set up guitars. And there is just something he does, and he manages to make these guitars just play so nicely. The action on this is just incredible, plays like butter, sounds incredible. He's a wizard, I think. But as you can see, for its age, it's not in bad condition. There is a repair on the back there. There's a slight split there on the back that has been repaired. It's stable. There's some lacquer checking all over. There's a bit of wear on the back of the neck there, as you can see in the cowboy chord position, I guess you'd call that. And of course, there's relating groove wear as well. Just having a look at the frets, yeah, it's been refretted, as you can imagine. I mean, if you look at the top of that, I think you'd expect a guitar that looks like that on the top to have had some play. And yeah, it's going to need a refret, isn't it, to keep going? But it's a really, really nice guitar. Comes with a yellow lined case, period case of, I'm going to say probably original. But this is, yeah, if you want a mid-50s Gibson acoustic that sounds just like you hear on the records. I think that's one thing with a lot of these vintage Gibsons, is when they sound good, it's just what you hear on those records, and you think, yeah, that is the sound, but it's probably not coming across on the camera, to be honest. So apologies for that, but take my word for it. If you're interested in a vintage Gibson, I implore you to come down to our cell room and try this thing out, because it is quite something. And talking about quite incredible acoustic guitars, this is another thing that we've had in. Not many of you will have heard of the maker, but a very, very good maker indeed, from Japan. This guitar dates to 1981, and this is a Mitsuhiro Uchida. Very, very good maker. His guitars are very valuable now. He's got a huge waiting list, or did have a huge waiting list. And yeah, it's just got quite a... I haven't even tuned that up. It does need some tuning, slightly out, but that's the go-to song on a 12 string, I think. But this really is just, I can see why these guitars are in such demand. Really well made instrument, rows of back and sides. Got the spruce top there. In fact, that could actually be cedar looking at it. Yeah, really well made guitar. What looks like a mahogany neck there, and even got this matched in control knob, volume knob on for the electrics. But really good guitar. This guitar does actually have a connection to John Joyce as well, the guitarist. So there's a letter in the case that is addressed to him from the maker. We're working on the provenance of that as well. But yeah, another guitar, a bit like the Gibson. If you come down, if you want a decent 12 string, a big sounding 12 string, it's quite a small body as well, because despite the sound, so it's comfortable to play. Do come down and have a go on this one. Again, I don't think you can be too disappointed. Huge sound, really comfortable to play, nice action, worth a look. And we are whizzing back to Gibson guitars. Hear a bit of bumping around in the background there. We are, of course, a working auction house, so we're all very busy with other auctions. But yeah, back to Gibson guitars. And in the last sale, we had a couple of Gibson Byrdlands. We got another one in, this one from 1991. We had a 1990 Gibson Byrdland in the last sale. And it's amazing, really, how much these have gone up in value. I'm not really surprised. I think it's probably because, or my guess would be, they're not making them anymore. So, or they're certainly not making them at the moment. Someone did tell me that they might do again, but I don't know. I don't know the facts on that. But really, really good condition. 33-year-old guitar with the original case. It's like as you can see, just look at that. There's not. I don't even think there's a mark on it. Has the Mr. Hutchins inspection label on the treble F hole as well. So this is the master model Byrdland from 1991, and really, really good example if you want a decent Byrdland guitar. So in here we have another artist associated guitar, and I guess this is the downside of not having a roaming camera and having a static camera, is you can't see the inscriptions on this case. But it does say, you'll have to take my word for it. You might be able to see it, I'm not sure, but we got Greg Sunburst. Now, this is a guitar that was formerly owned by Greg Lake, of Emerson, Lake and Palmer fame, obviously all the other work that he did. But in here we do have, and again, a guitar that you would have seen on our social media channels, should you follow us. But this is a 1989 Fender Stratocaster 12 string, and you can see it's signed by Greg Lake on the pick guard. Now, this guitar was previously offered in a Christie's auction, and I do actually have the catalogue here. You can see the guitar, the page has actually been signed by Greg Lake as well, but there is a picture of the guitar there, and this was on Friday the 14th of May 1993. So not long after this guitar was, or a couple of years after this guitar was played with Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So the provenance in the catalogue states that this was used during a US tour live with Emerson, Lake and Palmer by Greg Lake. So yeah, another cool artist associated guitar, used, owned and signed by Greg Lake with the catalogue. This guitar actually appears in an old Lyle's price guide as well, sort of memorabilia price guide or collectibles price guide. That is being included with the guitar. So quite a bit of provenance with this guitar, and yeah, that'll be in the artist section on the 3rd of September. And another interesting piece of memorabilia here. It's actually been signed by the same vendor as the Greg Lake guitar, sort of a collector of memorabilia. And for those of you who are into Bad Company, I like Bad Company, I like Free and all that kind of thing. But here is a gold disc presented to Burrell for Straight Shooter. And there it is. So again, some more memorabilia. Sorry about the overhead lights that will be flashing off that, but as you can see, some cool memorabilia coming in as well, not just artist associated guitars. So if you do have any memorabilia of this nature, then of course we can sell that alongside our guitar artist associated guitars and memorabilia section. But yeah, cool thing from Burrell of Bad Company. Now we have another very old Gibson guitar for you. This one has some local provenance, actually. Some of you who are into jazz guitar, a lot of gypsy jazz type guitar as well, might know a name Jack Toogood. Local provenance, Bristol, the family's Bristol based, and Jack was quite well known, did a lot with BBC and on the radio, and a very well regarded player and teacher in the area. But this was his guitar. Now we've got the I mean, this guitar it's about 110 years old now. Of course, it's a mid-20s Gibson L4 model. It's got the oval hole, which is how you can tell it's an earlier one of the specs there. We do have this, which is now quite collectible now, the de-almond sliding pickup there, rhythm chief, as we call them. But it's had a refinished neck. It's had a few other minor cosmetic things done to it. The 1910 tail there. But yeah, very close to the Law era with this one. Of course, the great builder Law era instruments are very, very collectible, especially if made by the hand. But an early guitar, Gibson guitar from the mid 1920s with good local provenance, and yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what this one does on the day. Another Gibson guitar for you, this time a 335. So we've had most of the humbucker pickup ESs now. Of course, we've had the 345 and the 355, but this one is slightly later, from around, just look at the serial number, 2013, this one, with the really, really bright cherry finish, with the original case. It's a good example, good condition, nice bit of flame on the maple there, but there's not really a mark on it, to be honest with you. So a good example of a Gibson ES-335. Here we have a good acoustic guitar, one of my favourite acoustic guitar brands or manufacturers. This is Santa Cruz, makes some very good guitars, and this is from a good collection of other similar acoustic guitars. Really, really lightweight and resonant, this one. Out of tune, it's from a deceased estate, this one, so needs a little bit of tidying, but this is a Santa Cruz VJ model, so sort of your typical dreadnought. Not really, I guess, no frills, but is saying no frills giving it a disservice? I don't think so. I think I just mean it's not covered in bling. It's a nice, simple sunburst finish guitar with the straightforward board there, neck, classic profiling, and the small little inlays there on that ebony board. But really, really nice guitar with its original plush lined fitted case. And I really do like these Santa Cruz guitars. If you've never had a chance to play a Santa Cruz acoustic, then I think it's one that you should treat yourself to, at least having a go on. Santa Cruz, Collings, it's all that kind of high-end, I guess, Gibson and Martin copy kind of ideas. But yeah, really nice guitar, this, the VJ by Santa Cruz. So this guitar, from the same collection, again, a really nice Santa Cruz guitar, and this is more sort of a Martin based. In fact, it's their take on the 1929 00 Martin acoustics, all mahogany, and again, a really, really nicely made guitar, giving those classic Martin specs and I guess sounds, but always good timbers used, very high quality guitars, and yeah, another nice Santa Cruz. This one from around 2010. And speaking of old Martin guitars, here we have a 1950s Martin 017T. Of course, the T standing for tenor guitar, and I guess tenor guitars really were more aimed at the banjo markets for those banjo players that wanted to join in on, I guess, a guitar. Then of course there is a lot of crossover between the two instruments anyway. So yeah, there is a vintage Martin tenor guitar, and again from the same collection of the rather nice Santa Cruz guitars that we've just seen. And just another cool thing to close out the video. I could keep going and show you more and more. We have so much here to feature, but I guess it keeps you wanting to come back to a future video. Of course, subscribe, like this video, and hit the bell icon if you do want to see more videos. It's always appreciated and helps our channel grow. But anyway, this is from a collection of bass guitars that we've had in. In another video I will feature more of this bass guitar collection. There's quite a few things there, I think between 30 and 40 basses. There are some guitars in there as well, but a single collection, got some amps as well, so some good things. But this one does have artist provenance. Now again, if you follow us on socials, you will have already seen that we've got this guitar, but this was formerly owned by Pino Palladino, the prolific session bassist, I guess. Played with lots of great names, lots of big names. Has played with the Who at some point. David Gilmour, Jeff Beck. Probably most known for being one of the John Mayer trio. So I think for John to be involved with John Mayer, I think says a lot about how in demand and the type of bass player he is. But this is a US-made Lakland US Decade guitar. It's a very, very good bass guitar indeed, with the black finish there, really highly figured maple neck, and it's got a really nice satin feel there, so really comfortable to play with the rosewood board and those big wide pickups as well. So yeah, another artist associated bass guitar from a collection of other bass guitars that we will feature in a future sale. So yeah, another cool artist thing. So that's it for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for tuning in. Apologies if the format was not as enjoyable to watch as the previous consignment updates with the static camera. Hopefully you still liked it. Some of you may prefer it. Why don't you let us know in the comments, what do you prefer? It is sometimes nice to have a cameraman to bounce off, but there we go. First consignment update, as I said, for the September auction, with really nice things coming in. That is just the tip of the iceberg of things that we have in, and things that of course are due to come in ready for consignment. If we got 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks until the consignment deadline, the 31st of July, we're taking items in for that sale. The 3rd to 6th of September, it will be our 3rd sale of the year. Of course, we hold 4 sales a year, so we've got our September and December auction. Can't believe we're already halfway through this year already. Yeah, I hope, really, like I said, I really hope you enjoyed the last auction. Thank you so much again, like I said at the start of the video, for all of your bids. And just thank you for joining us today. As I said, just on the last bass we looked at there, if you do like this content, please do subscribe to our channel, like the video, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of future updates. If you like the demo videos, then we will have another batch of demos coming up for you. Really do have some great pieces lined up. Some more artist associated guitars coming in. We may even have some more Gary Moore guitars. For those of you who missed out last time, we only had 2 to go around. A lot of people who are after them. So yeah, thanks once again, and we will see you next time.